Welcome to Fight News Now. I'm John Pollock here with you for the next half hour as we get you up to date on everything happening in the world of mixed martial arts. On today's show, we've got a look at Tough 20 with contestant Jessica Penne. Mark Bocek clarifies his statements on women's mixed martial arts. Luke Rockhold stops by, and Wanderlei Silva will speak about Chael Sonnen's recent 2-year suspension. Plus, we have 3 rounds with John Ramdine and Robin Black. Mike Tyson is on the shift, and you'll have a chance to win tickets to see him in Toronto. We all started off with this week's Newsmakers. It's head-to-head action from the UFC and Bellator this Friday night, with the UFC returning to Connecticut for a fight night event featuring middleweight contenders Ronaldo Jacare Souza and Gegard Mousasi. Jacare has been on a tear, winning his last 6, with Mousasi returning to 185 pounds earlier this year, and the two are set for 5 rounds this Friday night.
When Gegard Mousasi and Jacare Souza first met in 2008, the MMA world was a much different place than it is now. Their first bout came in the finals of the Dream Middleweight Grand Prix. While both combatants had first-round submissions in their semi-final bouts, Mousasi was regarded as a highly skilled striker who would only look for submissions if they were presented to him, while Jacare was almost purely a jiu-jitsu specialist. The bout opened well for the Brazilian, but that didn't last long. With the win, Mousasi was declared the inaugural Dream Middleweight champion. Since then, Mousasi and Jacare have had similar paths, although at different weight classes. After his Grand Prix win, Mousasi would move up a weight class, citing a dislike of cutting weight, and claim both Dream and Strikeforce light heavyweight titles. A loss to King Mo and the folding of Dream would cost the Dreamcatcher his titles, but not his traction with the hardcore fans. After beating Ilir Latifi in his Octagon debut at 205 pounds, the Dutch Armenian would drop back down to middleweight to face Lyoto Machida with a title shot on the line. While he lost a decision to the Dragon, he did show off a beautiful sweep.
He's going to try to sweep to his left side, and he does!
Which could come in handy on Friday night. Since his loss at Dream 6, Jacare has steadily improved his striking game, claiming the Strikeforce middleweight title with a win over Tim Kennedy. While he defended his title once with a submission over Robbie Lawler, his striking would come up short against Luke Rockhold, as he dropped a decision to the AKA standout. Since joining the UFC, Souza is 3-0, making it 6 in a row for the BJJ World Champion. 6 years since their first meeting, a lot has changed. However, with a wide-open middleweight division, the stakes for these two MMA veterans remains very high. Will Mousasi once again triumph over Jacare, or will the Brazilian exercise his demons and claim a victory over the Dreamcatcher?
Another name in the contenders mix at 185 pounds is Luke Rockhold, who is angling for a fight with Michael Bisping, but may have Lyoto Machida in his next bout. We recently spoke to the former Strikeforce champion about Friday's main event, as well as the heavyweight tilt on Friday between Alistair Overeem and Big Ben Rothwell.
Jacare Mousasi is going to be a great fight. Mousasi showed a lot in his last fight. You know, I think he's showed some vigor. I mean, he came out there hungry and showed a little more takedown defense than what I've seen from Mousasi. Like one of his weaknesses, a little lackadaisical. Jacare is just getting more and more confident in his striking and his right hand that he has. I don't know if he's technically growing, but his confidence is growing on the feet, which is it's just huge. In striking in general, I mean, the more confidence you have, the more technique you're gonna have. If you don't have confidence, your technique doesn't come off right. You hesitate, and that's why people do steroids. Cheaters everywhere. Because these guys have no confidence, and then they do steroids and it gives them confidence, and then that translates to their technique, you know, and they feel like they're invincible. And then you just, you know, you don't think when you throw a right hand, you just, you know, it comes off clean, you hit people, and that's, you know, I'm just sick of these people. You've seen it with Overeem when he's in Japan and K1, he's the most confident, you know, just, he looks like a killer. He's coming forward and he just doesn't care what you have, and he's gonna take it and he's gonna destroy you. When he's in the UFC, he just dances around and prances, and he's scared to really, you know, engage. Not to mention like a little explosive power that they receive from it in the you know, beginning of the fight. But I think the confidence is the biggest thing that it really gives these guys. You know, it gives them like, you hear about this recovery stuff that they recover faster, and it definitely gives them an explosive edge, you know, to start. But I think that fades.
And what a segue. It has been a very chaotic year for Wanderlei Silva, despite not having fought since March of last year. Silva avoided a random drug test back in May and is in the midst of a battle with the Nevada Athletic Commission regarding whether he was in his rights or not to avoid the test. Silva has not spoken too often about the current drug testing situation, so you'll want to hear Silva right now in this exclusive chat where he shared his thoughts on the recent suspension of Chael Sonnen by Nevada.
You know, this is what has happened. I really feel bad what is happening with him, what is this guy is doing with him, because these guys want to take off his job like a man. You're not gonna work anymore. You can't make money to your family. You can't do this. You can't do that. This is totally wrong. I think this guy sometimes going over law. No, I think we have the law. We need to respect the law. These guys can't break the law against us. No, I'm here to give support to him. No, I think the guys cut him from the TV. This is wrong too, because he's doing his job very well on TV, you know, and he's doing good. Sometimes it's stupid, but when crazy stupid, it's fun to hear. You know, I think I have my troubles with him. I have my revival. Can I know we're gonna to make the finish of that history when he back to fight. I know this fight need to happen. I think it's one interesting fight. We're gonna make this happen on one way or the other way.
The recently retired Mark Bocek has been outspoken, to say the least, since his retirement announcement. Bocek recently caught a lot of flack for his comments on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani regarding women's mixed martial arts. Bocek contends that when females are being judged against males for performance bonuses, it does create a problem, and he clarified his comments in a recent chat with Fight Network.
I may have said some things on emotion, but what I'm really trying to get at is we don't see any other sports like, let's say, boxing or tennis, where we actually compare males to females. So I'm not against women's MMA. It's obvious that the talent pool is not as deep as the males. One of my problems and concerns was comparing males and females in the sense of top 10 fighters. How about we just do a males only list and a female only list? That way I think we show the utmost respect to the both, and to really take women's MMA seriously by having their own top 10, by not having males and females fighting for the same performance of the night. It can be discouraging all these years breaking your balls, and then someone who just started training is on a co-main event, let's say, and they're not as talented as you, and a lot of female fighters will tell you the same thing. I may be a lot more talented than, let's say, this particular fighter, but she's okay and she's extremely marketable, and she might put certain photos out there that people like, so they tend to want to see her, so that's the direction it's kind of going with marketing a little bit. I'm not against the women's MMA at all, but women's MMA is so big now, why not have a whole women's card, a male's card? We separate the performance bases. I just think it makes it a little more realistic and fair. It's just my opinion.
And that takes us over to Ultimate Fighter Season 20, where it will be an all-women's strawweight season to crown the first 115-pound champion. The show kicks off next Wednesday night with coaches Anthony Pettis and Gilbert Melendez, and recently I caught up with former Invicta FC atomweight champion Jacare Penne, who is part of the Tough 20 crew and comes up in weight for the chance to make history and become the UFC's first strawweight champion.
You happy to be fighting at 115 pounds? Of course, having a lot of success at 105 pounds. What changes will you have to go through here with this weight class?
I think my body's a little bit happier at 115.
Sure.
I'm a big 105er. I had to, try and put on some good size, muscle, strength, all that kind of stuff, which I always work on in between fights, but it was a little bit different because I'm going up a weight class. So I got to eat a little more and, try and lift a little bit heavier and all that kind of stuff. So it was fun. It was different.
What is this process like, just being in an atmosphere like this, doing so many interviews, and this is kind of just introductory. How are you taking this whole process in?
I'm just soaking it all in, honestly. It's been surreal. It's been a great experience. I'm just trying to take it every single day at a time and appreciate it for what it is and take full advantage of the experience.
What was your reaction when they announced the fact that Invicta is now going to be kind of airing on Fight Pass, and there was a lot of concern if Invicta was going to continue, and now seems to be in a really good spot now as they're going to be continuing, but having the structure behind them of being on a platform like Fight Pass?
I think Invicta being on Fight Pass is amazing. I was really worried that the organization was just not going to go any further for whatever reason. So I'm really happy that the UFC has opened up that door and they're working together and they're just really getting behind women's MMA, because there's so many hardworking female athletes in the sport and we deserve a platform to perform on.
What was it so much about that promotion? Like, we have hundreds of promotions out there where fighters, they just go, they fight, and there's not really that connection to the promotion. But with Invicta, it was like your fighters, all the women, it was like they lived and died with this promotion, and there was this real feeling of like rooting them on. Where did that come from?
It's because Shannon really believes in the sport and believes in the women in the sport. That's why. I mean, all of the other people just kind of, I guess they wanted to make money or they saw it as an opportunity, but she really got behind the athletes and really believed in us, and I think that's why it was so successful, because she genuinely wanted us to succeed.
And here he is, the vegan analyst himself, John Ramdeen, who joins us. Packed weekend of mixed martial arts, 2 cards on Friday, Invicta on Saturday night. What's coming up on 3 rounds?
Holy smokes, I'd love to say that we're talking about the featherweight title fight in Bellator, but we're not. We're talking about the UFC, 2 former Strikeforce champions in the main event. It's a rematch, and that's what we're talking about.
You can't miss 3 rounds. It's the biggest 3 rounds of all time coming up next on Fight News Now.